Do you like my red light? Spooky. Happy Halloween. Hello and welcome to FDS. My name is Nate and I am your host. Today we are going to be talking about Crimson Vow spoilers. And we're going to pretend like this is the first time I've recorded it and not the third time, because the first time I had the mic on mute and the second time I had left a bunch of stuff on the set that didn't really need to be there. Yesterday, Wizards of the Coast released their preview video to kick off spoiler season for Innistrad Crimson Vow. When Wizards of the Coast did this for Innistrad Midnight Hunt, I did a whole video covering the entire event, what mechanics, what cards they showed, and frankly, even I get bored watching that video, so I decided to do something different for Crimson Vow. I decided I would just look at the cards that they released and evaluate whether or not I think they're good or not. What gives me the cachet to say that a card is good or bad? To be honest with you, I got nothing. So the first set of cards they revealed were the lands, the rare land cycle that is finishing out the land cycle that they started in Midnight Hunt. These are the comes into the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more lands. Nice thing about this is any land, so you almost have a guaranteed untapped. You are almost guaranteed to have these come in untapped on turn 3. Now, if you only get these in your opening hand, it's probably a good idea to mulligan, but overall I think they're pretty good. Next on the list is Olivia, Crimson Bride. 4, a black and a red. It's a bit pricey. Legendary creature, Vampire Noble, 3 and a 4, with flying and haste. Whenever Olivia Crimson Bride attacks, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains when you don't control a legendary vampire, exile this creature. I love what it does. I love the creature itself. I probably will try to figure out how to fit it into my vampire deck, but it's expansive, so it's probably not going to see a ton of play, but yeah, it looks like a pretty good commander card. Voldarin Estate. Tap, add a colorless mana, or you can tap, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a vampire spell. You can pay 5, tap, and create a blood token. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each vampire you control. And a blood token is the new line of tokens in the food, treasure, clue line of tokens. It's the blood token. It's a token artifact, blood. It is 1 tap, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact. That's all the cost for this. Draw a card. It's a whole lot to draw a card, but drawing cards is probably one of the most powerful things you can do in Magic, so this is definitely going into my Vampire Commander deck. Then they revealed the new Soarin Planeswalker, and oh my, it's Soarin the Mirthless. Really, it should be Soarin the Brooding and Sexy. He's 2 and 2 black, legendary Planeswalker, Soarin. He comes in with 4 loyalty counters. You can +1 him to look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. You can -2 to create a 2/3 black vampire creature token with flying and lifelink. Or you can do his ultimate of -7, and Soarin the Mirthless deals 13 damage to any target. You gain 13 life. I think this is a pretty solid Planeswalker. 4 mana value. All 3 of its abilities are pretty powerful. Comes in at 4. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. They did say that Kaya and Chandra are going to be the other 2 Planeswalkers in this set. Then they revealed a reprint, Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. It's 1 and a white for a legendary creature, human soldier. It's a 2/1. It has first strike, and non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Solid reprint. This is a good card. I don't think there's any argument there. In many cases, limited constructed, this is a pretty darn good card. So moving on. Voldarin Bloodcaster, 1 and a black for a creature vampire wizard. It's a 2/1. It's a double face card. It has flying. Whenever Voldarin Bloodcaster or another non-token creature you control dies, create a blood token. Whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, transform Voldarin Bloodcaster. And on the back, it's Bloodbat Summoner, creature vampire wizard. That's a 3/3 with flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste in addition to its other types. Yeah, I think this is a good card, because even if flipping it isn't possible and it gets removed before then, it still gives you a blood token when it dies. And other creatures give you blood tokens, so at least you get the blood tokens in exchange. And a 2 mana value for a 2/1 flyer, that's good on its face. So this is a good creature out of the gate that gives you potential options in the future. This card good. Dorothys, Vengeful Victim. Legendary creature spirit for a white and a blue. That's a 4/4 flyer. When Dorothea, Vengeful Victim, attacks or blocks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. Then it has Disturb, 1 white and a blue, and Disturb is you may cast this card from your graveyard transformed for its Disturb cost. And its transformed version is Dorothea's Retribution, which is an enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature has whenever this creature attacks, create a 4/4 white spirit creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice that token at the end of combat. If Dorothea's Retribution would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Wow, this is another situation where on its face, you get a 2 mana value 4/4 flyer that admittedly only has, it's a one and done. It can block or attack just once and that's it. But you're either getting a really big chump blocker to take out a bigger creature of theirs, or you're doing 4 damage right off the bat on potentially turn 3. And then when you get another creature on the board, you can cast this for its Disturb cost to get that new creature enchanted, which will create you 4/4 white spirit tokens that will attack every time that creature attacks. Yeah, this is good. I believe this is another good one. Oh, and by the way, this creature is going to forever be known as Dorothy Spornak in my house. I will not apologize. They also are bringing back Exploit, which is when a creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. And the card they showed for this was Overcharged Amalgam, which is 2 and 2 blue for a creature zombie horror that's a 3/3 with flash and flying and exploit. When Overcharged Amalgam exploits a creature, counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. So while this is a 4 mana value, you're still getting a 3/3 flyer, and you potentially could counter a spell or activated or triggered ability. Again, pretty good. They had a lot of good cards here. And the next card showed off a new mechanic, Dig Up, which is for 1 green to get a sorcery that has Cleave. The Cleave cost is 1, 2 black, and a green. You may cast this spell for its Cleave cost. If you do, remove the words in square brackets. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. If you cast it for its Cleave cost, then it reads, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. Yes, it's a sorcery, but getting the basic land is pretty cheap. And the Cleave cost, if you get this later in the game, it's essentially a tutor. You can go get something, you don't even have to show anybody what it is. Again, I think this is another good card. Next, we have Savior of Ulenbach, 1 and 2 white, which is a creature human soldier. It's a 1/2. It has training. Whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Whenever Savior of Ulenbach trains, exile up to 1 other target creature from the battlefield or creature card from a graveyard. When Savior of Ulenbach leaves the battlefield, put the exiled cards onto the battlefield under their owner's control. It has the ability to pump itself if it's attacking with a larger creature. Training seems to be almost like the opposite of Mentor. Mentor was from Guilds of Ravnica, and that was when a creature with Mentor attacked, put a +1/+1 counter on another attacking creature with the least power. So this is kind of like the opposite. Yeah, a 3 mana value for 1/2 isn't great, but it does have the ability to pump itself. And when it pumps itself, it can start clearing your opponent's board or graveyard. And with Disturb as a mechanic, this is a good answer for Disturb. Yeah, I think this is another good card. Good cards all around. You get a good card. You get a good card. Now we have the 2 commanders from the commander decks that they're releasing with this set. The first is Strafan, Marrer Progenitor. Okay, there's too many R's in that name. He's Stefan now. He's 2 black and a red for a legendary creature vampire noble, 3/2. It has flying. At the beginning of your end step, create a blood token for each player who lost life this turn. Whenever Strafan attacks, you may sacrifice 2 blood tokens. If you do, you may put a vampire card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end of turn. This may be my new vampire daddy. Yeah, no, this is a good card. I like it. I think it's fun. It's not even really that expensive, so I like it. The next one is Millicent, Restless Revenant. 5, wow, white and a blue. Legendary creature, Spirit Soldier. It's 4/4. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each spirit you control. There we go, so that's how you get it down. It has flying. Whenever Millicent, Restless Revenant, or another non-token spirit you control dies or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. I can see this in a Spirit Commander deck becoming very nice. I could totally see it being 2 mana value for a 4/4 flyer. That's not bad. Excellent. Another good card. Another good card. And the final card of the video is Wedding Ring, 2 and 2 white for an artifact. When Wedding Ring enters the battlefield, if it was cast, target opponent creates a token that's a copy of it. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring draws a card during their turn, you draw a card. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring gains life during their turn, you gain that much life. So this is going to be a political tool in Commander games, and I am excited to get it and play it, only so that way I can look at my friend and say, I want to put a ring on it. I told you I won't apologize. And they also talked about how some of the cards will have a Count Dracula theme to it. And to get those cards, you need to pre-order a box. You'll get one of 3 cards in the box as a box topper. But if you order from your local game store, you'll get another card, which is Count Dracula's Castle, which is Voldarin Estate. That's some other stuff you can look forward to. And also, you want to click that. This show is part of the CIP network, inspiring creativity, one episode at a time.